Welcome back, beautiful people of the podcasting universe and world. My name is Frankie Rodriguez. This is the Three Amigos podcast. We got Christopher Langsdorff, Anthony Ola on deck. We are three for three amigos. That's right. And today, unfortunately, we're gonna not unfortunately. Today we're talking about something sad. Unfortunately, I'm sure you guys all heard the passing of the legendary voice actor Kevin Conroy, also known as Batman for most of us, for us at least, us three right here, and many more. Kevin Conroy was Batman. He was our Batman. Batman has passed away on was it November 10th of this year. He passed away Thursday. We found out Friday morning yesterday at the time of this recording it is the 12th. It was a very emotional Friday with also the week, the beginning or end of the week, we had Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, and then just suddenly we lost a legend, Kevin Conroy, just out of the blue. He was struggling and battling cancer, and unfortunately, he lost that battle. But lucky for us, we get to have the memories of Kevin Conroy and what he brought to us as children and as grown men. And if you were a grown man and a grown adult, doesn't matter. You were definitely feeling some things yesterday, and I know, Chris, you made a fantastic video yesterday. You should all go and watch that. People out there, the podcasting universe, to check it out. Just it's very heartfelt. You captured everything I want to say, but today we're just kind of talking about what Kevin meant to us and what the legacy of Batman means with him at the helm at the time when he was being asked to return to the role alongside, Mark Hamill occasionally. It wasn't all the time. He got team up with Mark again, also known as the Joker. Mark is the voice of the Joker from the 90s. It was just a very emotional day for me. But I want to hear you guys' take. Chris, I heard your take, via video, but I actually want to start off with Ant. I didn't really get to hear much from you yesterday. So how are you feeling, man? And give me let's do some positivity, throw some positivity in there, and let's talk about a memory of Kevin and Batman that you remember.
So I remember as a kid, this is not really gonna start off as positive, but as a kid, I didn't know how I felt about the animated series. Like I would skim through it on channels, and then it wasn't until recently, a couple years ago, I got for Christmas the full animated series on Blu-ray, and I recently started watching it again, trying to catch up about a month ago or so. And that show, man, it's just so incredible. And then just to see all the work he's done with the animated series, Justice League, the Arkham games. He might have been in, there was another animated series called The Adventure Continues. I'm pretty sure he was in that one as well.
Mm,
Um,
yes.
and it's crazy, man. Like I made a little tribute thing for our podcast, Instagram and TikTok, and it was hard to make. It was just very emotional. Like I got to certain parts in that editing where I was just like, damn, this sucks. Like, it sucks that it happened. But as you guys said in your takes, it is a big part of our childhood. It's you know, somebody who's been there as Batman for so many years, and arguably the best Batman. Even Chris said in his video, he is Batman. Kevin
Yeah.
Conroy is Batman. I heard the story that in Comic Con, what he would do is he'll do like the autograph signings, and throughout the long lines, he'll randomly just get up and yell, "I am vengeance, I am the night, I am Batman." um, and I know they had him in a CW crossover, and in my opinion, that episode or just his portrayal as Bruce Wayne could have been a lot better. But just to see him as a live action Bruce Wayne was very cool to see because you don't really see that. You see more of the animated voice acting, but to see him as live action Bruce Wayne in the future was just pretty cool, man. Um,
Mhm.
it is weird timing that it happened right like the night before Wakanda Forever when Chadwick passed away from cancer as well. So
Yeah.
very strange timing, but it who there's no other Batman for us, like in terms of like a
Yeah,
voice acting Batman, like there's no
Mhm.
other guys. I don't know, man.
I wanted to amend something that I had said in that video, which was that uh, Kevin Conroy was a big part of our childhood, and after I said that, I was kind of thinking about just like the impact that his voice had
Mm-hmm.
on that character, and I really should have said that he's had a big impact on our lives,
Mm-hmm.
because it wasn't a childhood thing. Like, there are certain, like I think Power Rangers would fall into a category of like I watched it when I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and then I don't watch it anymore. Like I don't even know what the Power Rangers are doing these days. But with
Think they're going
Kevin
back to
Conroy,
space.
he followed us through so many, like he did the Arkham games. Those games are not that old. He was still doing Batman voiceovers, up until I guess maybe a few years, when maybe he just couldn't anymore or not as often. So it wasn't even a childhood thing. It was like somebody who had just kind of his career followed, the from the time when we were kids. Yeah, it's very strange. I was also thinking, kind of on the note of that Comic-Con story, but like you hear so often, and I meant to say this in the video, but there's so many stories of like people getting cast in certain roles and then growing to resent the character that they're cast as because nobody sees them as a person anymore. They just
Mm-hmm.
see them as like, oh, you're Batman, you're Harry Potter, you're this person. Um, so there's like this debate going on right now if the guy who played Trevor in GTA 5 is like actually really mad that that's the only person people see him as now.
Yeah,
Because there was
got
this
it.
guy who like asked him to make a bunch of cameos, and in every one of them, he was like, "But can you do it as Trevor? Can you say it in the Trevor voice?" And he was like, "Man, I've been in so many other things since I played that character."
It's like
Uh,
the guy who plays Stifler, where like at some point he was a bit upset, but a lot of people kept telling him, "Dude, my life is based off you as Stifler." So he finally accepted it as, "Yeah, I'm Steve Stifler." Like that's
Oh, Sean William Scott.
yeah,
yeah,
He's
yeah. I
Sean
mean,
William Scott, damn it. Give him some respect.
it's Stifler, man.
there's so many instances too of like contract disputes and like, people who get to a certain level of either voice acting or regular acting, and then they'll just like hold it over the company, or the company tries to lowball them. And I mean, unless I missed a bunch of news stories, I don't recall that ever coming up with Kevin Conroy. It seemed like he voiced Batman as often as he could. It seemed like Warner Bros. Knew how important he was to that
Mhm.
character. I mean, when they made the three greatest Batman games of all time, he's the Batman he's the guy they wanted to do the voice. Like it just seemed like a scenario or a situation where everyone involved knew the the importance that he had with that character. And I mean, I said this in my video, but I think what hits me with this stuff, especially when it's so sudden,
Mhm.
is that it's the looking forward that there won't be any more
Yeah.
Kevin Conroy Batman. And we got a lot of it, and it was all really good. There's also that great video that floats around every few years of him doing voiceover lines for lines from The Dark Knight,
Yeah.
which is just fantastic. But it's hard not to be sad that the Kevin Conroy Batman phase is over.
Mhm.
I don't
Right.
know if he had any other unreleased stuff. I don't know how involved he was.
I saw Cape Crusader, I think, is supposed to be coming out in 2020. I'm not familiar with the project. Batman Cape Crusader TV series. It's
Is that
supposed
the
to be filming.
HBO? Is that the HBO one?
He was supposed to be Thomas Wayne.
Uh,
Uh, yeah, that's in 2023.
what was your guys' favorite iteration of Kevin Conroy Batman? It's like Batman
Oh,
animated series.
that's
There are a lot of
hard.
great movies.
That's hard.
Yeah, I wanted to
Um,
add two quick points. Sorry, Frankie, I didn't mean to cut you off. Just two
Bastard.
quick points about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, in the Killing Joke, when they did the movie based off the comic, they use Conroy and Mark Hamill to play the roles, and just that scene in the end where Joker tells Batman a joke and Batman's laughing with him, it's kind of felt like a more for the actors than the actual characters of like, hey, we've done this for so many years and we're back together doing this project. Um, so just to see Batman laughing, Kevin Conroy Batman just laughing with Mark Hamill was
Mm.
just pretty great. And then one thing that kind of I thought about yesterday, which I haven't thought about in a while, was in college, my nickname was Batman. Everyone called me Batman in college.
You forgot
Yeah.
about that? Come on, dude. We never
Is it that
forgot.
I
God,
forgot?
man. You
I just
had
haven't really.
Batman Converse
It was just
sneakers.
I haven't really been thinking about it,
Mhm.
and so I just thought about it yesterday. I was just like, wow, because faculty, staff, administration, students, everybody called me Batman. So I was just like, damn, Um, but yeah, Frankie, you're saying something about your favorite iteration.
Um,
Yeah, I was asking if you guys, well, I guess to give you guys a little time to think about what your favorite either iteration of Kevin Conroy's Batman or just, project that you really enjoyed. Mine was probably old Bruce Wayne in Batman Beyond. I
mm,
I just really liked
Interesting.
I mean, I like the first episode of that show a lot just because Batman picks up a gun and that's when he realizes that he needs to retire.
retire.
But I just like that version of like an older Bruce Wayne that like is so resistant to like bringing in anyone to help him or like admitting that he can't handle something. And it was just such a change from like the roles that Kevin Conroy had done before that, and to see him in like more of a mentorship role, like
Hmm.
a legitimate handing the mantle down to somebody else, not just a sidekick. Um, yeah, I don't know that for some reason Batman Beyond Bruce Wayne has always like stuck with me.
Um, I guess my favorite iteration would probably have to be the animated series. I grew up watching that pretty religiously. Um, and obviously that led to other things from Batman Beyond and Justice League. And I just couldn't help but just feel like it was it was great. It was just a really it's obviously adopted from a certain uh movie, which you should all know, which is basically the first two movies of Batman, Tim Burton's Batman, which was 1989 and 1991, Batman Returns. So like that was something that was really like I obviously had to make the connection until I was older, but like looking back at it, like once I realized, oh, the movie inspired the animated series, and because if it wasn't for the live action movie, we wouldn't have the animated series and have all the wonderful music, the wonderful voice acting, the wonderful storytelling and writing. And somehow it was supposed to be a children's show, but my God, some of those episodes were not children's shows. The
Yeah.
fucking Clayface episode haunts me to this day. It was one of the worst frightening episodes, and the dummy episode. Oh God. Uh, yeah, it's just like I think the full animated series is my favorite iteration, along with the movies. And Mask of the Phantasm is also not a kids movie,
Mm.
and that's
Yeah.
probably one of the best Batman movies ever made. Uh, if you've never seen it, no spoilers, but it has a created great twist of a great twist of a story. Um, so yeah, like that's my favorite memories of Kevin and with Batman. One thing I wanted to add in, my friend met Kevin Conroy randomly in the subway a couple years ago, and he was just talking with him, and Kevin just asked him, "Hey, do you have a phone? You want to take your phone and take a picture?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And so Kevin was the one to offer to take a selfie with him. So that it just goes to show you what the type of character Kevin was. Just class act, all around guy, and he was having like a full conversation with my friend about Mark and Batman, and yeah, it's just it breaks my heart. But we got to hold on to the good stuff, all the good shit.
Yeah, I think my favorite iteration, just because it's the one that I remember the most and have the most experience with, is Justice League Batman, Justice League version of it, because
Mhm.
I've seen that more than the other stuff that he's been in.
Hmm.
And there's been some incredible episodes where, like, when they meet the Justice Lords and he's voicing two different Batmans, or when they go into the future and he's doing both present day Batman and future Bruce Wayne. And when he's trying to interrogate the Scarecrow guy, and he was like, "This is how you interrogate somebody." He's walking up to him with the cane and everything, and just like really great. The way that he can switch around between, like, it's the same character, of course, but like different way that he's doing it, different tone, and all the different things that he's done in the Justice League show, or just the way he voiced some of the episodes. Um, that's probably the one that I found the most as like my favorite of his. Um, Even like when in Justice League, there's a couple episodes where he's showing Batman does have some emotion, like when Ace goes to die and he's sitting with Ace
Mm,
in the bench. And then there's the
yeah.
one where I posted this one in my TikTok video where Robin, before Robin was Robin, and he's talking to him about his parents dying, and he was like, "Does the pain ever go away?" And he's like, "I wish I could tell you yes, but it does get easier." That kind of helped me get through the editing, because it was like, "Does the pain go away?" Well, we wish you can say yes, but it does get a bit easier to handle.
Yeah, I feel like since none of us mentioned this, but we should probably highlight that his performances in the Arkham games was incredible, and those games will live on forever, much like the animated series and Justice League. But I think it is really cool that he got to voice that trilogy, and I don't know if this will spearhead any momentum on remastering those games so that they can live on in future generations, because I know people have been asking for that for a long time. But it would be really cool if generation after generation got to hear the definitive Batman going forward. I also just wanted to say, like, there's something about hearing Kevin Conroy as Batman. And like I can't even put my finger on it, but like we've gotten to a point with so many other iterations of Batman where it's like he has to have a Batman voice, like this like grunty, growly, like he's clearly like doing something to change his voice. And like the Kevin Conroy Batman just sometimes you just hear a character and you're like, that's the only version that should exist. Like that is the definitive version of this character. And it just I mean, I know that we would talk about this sometimes when like a new DC animated project was coming out that featured Batman. And the first question everybody wanted to know is like, is Kevin Conroy doing the voice or is he not? Because like that is going to impact my enjoyment of the movie
Right.
or the show. It's like whether or not he's involved. It just like really, but it really went to show you like how influential he was with that character. And it's like legitimately hard for me to think of another situation of a character that like, started in the 90s with like the animated show and then like transcended so many different mediums and was in all of them. Like I know that Dan Green has done a lot of the Yugi voice throughout the years and like little clips in video games and whatnot, and they've done a few movies. But I mean, they switched out Ash Ketchum, like they change voice actors for stuff all the time.
Word.
Um, it's really hard to think of another instance of a voice actor becoming. I mean, like you could argue that Kevin Conroy became as big as the character he was playing, which is like so
Yeah.
incredibly rare
Hmm.
for the guy doing the voice. I mean, voice actors are like historically pretty ignored and you
Yeah.
don't know their names. Um, but Kevin Conroy became such a figure. And just
Yeah.
like, yeah, just
It's fun. It's
crazy to
funny
look.
when you mentioned that thing about like where you're doing the voice of that character and you are that voice. it's kind of like when Phil Lamar was playing Green Lantern for Justice League. He looked at the character design and was like, okay, being that he has a very large chest, he's gonna talk with this like bass. And Kevin Conroy, I think I saw this clip recently where he was talking about when he got the role of Batman, where he had a theater background, so he was doing more like a theater, mindset, a theater type of acting. And that's when they were like, hey, we got Batman. We got the guy who's gonna play Batman. And me being someone who has a degree in theater is also like, you know, I may not have done a lot with my theater background in terms of a theater field, but just to be it, have that type of educational experience and see how it can take someone to incredible lengths and incredible, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I don't even know what to call it, just other than incredible. But yeah, the fact that it's like, hey, as you said, who's playing Batman in this project? Who's gonna play Batman in that project? Not to say all the other Batmans are bad. It's just you may be a good voice actor, but you're just not on the may not be on the same level as Kevin Conroy, or you're not as iconic at the point. But it's going to be hard to see who's going to take, who will be the next animated Batman in another project. That's kind of like the hard
Mhm.
part. So I know the Justice League or the DC animated movies, they've been doing quite a few of them in the whole series where they
Hmm.
didn't use him, they used another voice actor. Can't remember his name or who they used, but I think that franchise pretty much ended with the Dark Apocalypse Award, and then it started a whole new set of animated movies. But no Kevin, man.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
one's ever gonna unfortunately capture what Kevin captured unless like someone can really replicate that, but I don't see that happening. It's like trying someone to try and replicate Mark Hamill's Joker,
Right.
and no one's gonna do that either. So it's hard. It's like do we have so much to remember both Mark and Kevin. Obviously, we have more of Mark, thankfully, hopefully still to come, but with when it comes to Kevin, it's yes, it ends, but at least we have the memories and hopefully, something good comes out of it more. Like, they archive the 90s, make sure his voice and those bits all get captured. Everything that was ever recorded is somehow saved. Um, because I think he does deserve that because he is an icon. His voice is so iconic. The guy could have said the menacing thing in the most nicest way, or the most nicest thing in the most menacing way, because of how like he's able to convey and his voice out to the world with simple lines or with the most like dramatic of dialogue. Um, I don't know. I just also wanted to like, on my part, I just wanted to like also like, I didn't know this until a few years ago, that he was openly gay. So like that felt even better for me because like I like to consider myself an ally, and I do have my cousin. I have cousins and friends who I'm friends with and close with, who I vouch for them and want them to have everything that you know people in the majority have because let's face it, there's still a lot of things wrong with our world, especially here in America. And he is survived by his husband, Von C. Williams, sister Trisha Conroy, and his brother Tom Conroy. And again, like I want to highlight his husband, Von C. Williams. If you're a fan and you didn't know he was gay and that somehow turns you off, well, go fuck yourself. Because there is a lot of hate in this world, and I feel like if you're a fan, you're a fake fan. Because if you can't accept Kevin for who he was, which was a wonderful human being, an open human being, and his truest of selves, because again, that story with my friend, he was just genuine and my friend didn't want to bother him with a picture, but Kevin said, let's take a picture. Um, you know, Kevin clearly was one of the better human beings out there. And the fact that, he was openly gay, I feel that warms my heart for people who look to have a hero and someone to look up to that reminds me of them. Well, you had Batman on your side to the LGBTQ community. You guys really had that, and you know, never lose sight of that. That will never be taken away from you. Batman, Kevin Conroy was an openly gay man and a proud man, and I'm really happy he got to live a full life and have a husband and have be himself as well, not just have to be Batman. He was himself, and he didn't give two fucks and care about anyone else. If you didn't like him for who he was, too fucking bad. And I say that I'm not trying to stir anything, but I just feel like I know there is those people out there, just like people were making fun of Neymar and the change. Well, Kevin was Kevin, and he never changed. So if you didn't know, you didn't know, and you find that weird, well, go fuck yourself. He's not weird. He was just human, and Kevin will live on while you ignorant pieces of shits can all die in hell. So I just had to get that off my chest because yeah, obviously there were some things out there that were said, but you know, it's all happy from here on out, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, from everything that, we've heard about Kevin Conroy, he was just a really good person,
Yeah.
which you don't hear
Hmm.
about a lot
Yeah.
of people who ascend to the heights of success that he reached in his career. He could have very easily turned into this like hostile, like, you know, holding Warner Bros over the fire for every movie and show. And it, I don't, nobody knows what those negotiations are ever like, but it did
Right.
seem like he genuinely loved that he was Batman. He loved that people thought of him
Hmm.
as that character and wanted him to be in like literally any Batman project that was happening, to the point that all of those calls probably spearheaded him ending up in a live action CW show.
Hmm.
And I don't know, there's so few. When celebrities pass away, it's always weird because there are some celebrities that pass away and you're just like, oh, that's a shame. Okay,
Yeah, it
anyway, like
sucks.
moving on with my morning.
Hmm.
And then there are celebrity deaths where it feels like a family member died, where
Hmm.
it's like it's hard to describe it as anything other than just devastating. Um, because it brings up so many. I guess like I felt this way when the Yu-Gi-Oh creator passed away, but like
Right.
sometimes these figures mean a lot to you when they're alive, but you don't think about it that much.
Hmm.
And then when they pass away and you start thinking back, you're like, oh my God, like they were there in such a large part of my life or the stuff that I was into, like that sort of thing. And it just like hits of like, wow, I mean, absolutely appreciated him when he was alive and doing all these Batman projects and doing as many uh Batman voice roles as he could. But I think it's always kind of bittersweet because it's hard to properly appreciate someone when they're around. Like
Right.
you try your best, but it's hard to constantly be thinking every time to be honest, like every time I was watching a Batman movie, I wasn't like, wow, thank goodness Kevin Conroy is still alive. Like
Right.
I was so happy he was in the project, but it was like, man, this is like an awesome Batman. And then when someone like that passes away, like Kazuki Takahashi, and you start thinking back and you're like, wow, they actually had like a really big impact on my life.
Hmm.
Like it was almost like with Kevin Conroy, when he was alive, I knew that I thought of him as like the Batman voice.
Hmm.
But when he died, that's when it hit me that I thought of him as Batman. Like he was the whole character.
Sure.
Like every other version of Batman that was not voiced by Kevin Conroy wasn't really Batman to me. It was a
Sure.
version of Batman that Kevin Conroy wasn't doing the voice of.
Hmm.
And it just I'm looking back on it now, I'm glad that there are so many happy memories. Like there are no stories of him being a mean person or a bad person, or
Yep.
we've all had plenty of our heroes turn out to not be very good people.
Absolute pieces of
Um,
shits.
yeah, and it really speaks to, I think, not even just that a good person got to achieve that much success, but he really carried himself in a way where like he understood the importance of the role that he was playing. And like
Yeah.
you can't play Batman and be a douchebag in real life. Like
Hmm.
he was just a good person playing a good person, and it just felt like very appropriate casting.
I agree. Well said. Anyone else have anything else wonderful they want to say about the late, great, amazing uh, Kevin Conroy? If not, I guess we could cut this one a little bit short. Um, but yeah,
Well, I will add one more thing,
sure.
because we touched on like, who's gonna, I guess, be the next Batman voice, and I don't think there is going to be one. I think they're probably just gonna keep throwing it to
Cycling.
different voice actors here and
Yeah.
there. I did want to say, like, we all love Mark Hamill. I have heard some very, very good Mark Hamill Joker impressions.
Yeah, I have to. Can't lie.
I've never heard anyone sound like Kevin Conroy playing Batman.
Mm-mm.
And I think part of that is because it's like kind of his voice. Like
Yeah.
it's an exaggerated, dramatic version, but it's his voice and
Yeah.
it's incredibly and I'm sure people have tried to replicate it. Like I'm
Hmm.
sure Warner Brothers has already tried that. Like, can we find someone who sounds enough like Kevin Conroy? And I think it's he reached such a height where it's like, unless you can find a literal one of one who sounds exactly like him, don't bother.
Yeah.
Just keep passing the role, giving it to, let other voice actors have these opportunities. That's
Hmm.
something Kevin, he was totally fine with other people coming in and playing the character as well. Um,
Hmm.
and I think, going forward, that's what I would do. I wouldn't get bogged down in like, how do we replace this person? Because you just can't. You
Right.
literally cannot replace him. Um, but I think, hopefully, going forward, I would assume what he would have wanted was just for, more voice actors out there to get the opportunity to maybe one day, become the next voice of Batman. And you get that by giving those opportunities out. So hopefully that's what they do.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that too. I think the voice actor for who played Bruce and Batman in Gotham Knights was pretty good, honestly. I thought he sounded like a good second place to Kevin. Obviously, no one will ever replace Kevin, but it reminded me of like a young classic sounding Bruce Wayne from the 90s, or if he would sound that young, maybe even a bit older.
You know
But
what's
I thought that was
what's
good.
funny? I'm sorry, but as we're now talking about this, I'm literally remembering, like, I think it's the end of Arkham Knight,
Hmm.
or maybe I guess this has come up a lot in different Batman media, but like the whole point of Batman is that he's a symbol. He's not a person.
Right.
He's not one person. The point of the character is that he could be anyone. That's why he
Hmm.
wears the mask. That's why nobody actually knows who he is.
Well, but we do know who the fuck he is.
Yeah, but
He's
I
Bruce
mean,
Wayne,
like,
damn it.
the general
I
idea
know.
behind the character is like this person that wants to inspire others because he could be anyone.
Yeah, I get
And
that.
I think that's sort of what you're gonna see happen with the Batman role going forward, is that he could be anyone. Like that's
Yeah.
the point. That's why he wears the mask, is I'm sure Kevin Conroy inspired a lot of voice actors
Hmm.
to want to play Batman in movies and shows.
Yeah.
And I guess, as a voice actor, you probably can't ask for anything more than to inspire an entire generation
With just
of
your
people
voice.
in
With
in
just
that
your
field.
voice.
Yeah.
Last comment I wanted to make that I just remembered is around the time Arkham Knight was releasing, and they had a trailer with different celebrities playing the game, and they're all like, "Oh yeah, I played it. It was Neil Patrick Harris and that guy who played the guy from Spider-Man who played Flash in the first movie. I can't remember his name. The guy from Magic Mike. What's his name? He played Deathstroke in Justice League.
Oh, Joe Manganiello.
Yeah, him. And so in the commercial, they're all saying like, "Be the Batman, be the Batman," and it ends with Kevin saying, "Be the Batman, I am the Batman," and it's just so awesome, man. But
Yeah, I like that. I think there's a quote here, and I think this is a fitting way to end. Is everyone is handed adversity in life. No one's journey is easy. It's how they handle it that makes people unique. And Kevin was one unique individual, human being and a great voice actor. And to us, he's Batman, but he's also Kevin Conroy, the person, one and the same, a hero to all and a hero to many childhoods. So, with that being said, thank you so much for listening, everybody. This is the Three Amigos podcast. Christopher Langsdorff, Anthony Olan. We're happy and we're gonna make these memories last for a lifetime, and hopefully you guys will too, because we can't be sad forever. We gotta just smile because it happened and we have them. So thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you in the next one, beautiful people. Peace.